Good evening, everyone. Um, Today, the subject for MB Judiciary that we're starting is Pocso Act, which is Protection of Children from Sexual Offense. And let me tell you that this particular subject, for our judiciary perspective, the worth of this subject is 3 marks. But let's not forget, these 3 marks are very easy to score because there are only um, uh, not many sections are there in this act. Only 46 sections are there in this act, and to understand those sections are also very easy as compared to the other sections, because like specifically like abetment and like there are so many sections and punishment for abetment. It is exactly like what is mentioned in IPC. So if you have already covered the IPC, then this is also obviously covered. So, and the questions that are actually asked are quite very straightforward from this particular act. So that's the reason it's very easy for us to actually score quite good marks in this subject. Just a minute. Yes. So there are few things that I have to obviously cover, and which is actually important with regard to your subject is, first of all, this subject is Pocso. This Pocso, first question that comes from this section is that in which year this particular act came. So this act came in our 63rd year of independence. 63rd year of independence. This particular act came, right? And what was the recent amendment? But when we talk about the 63rd year of amendment, then also we have to remember the two dates, which is enactment date, and then other is enforcement date. When we talk about the enactment date, just a minute, I need to so when we talk about the enactment date, we have 19th June 2012 is the enactment date. And when we talk about the enforcement date, it is 14th November. Now, this should be very easier to remember because the date is 14th November is already our Children's Day. So nothing that you have to specifically put effort to remember the dates, right? So enactment date here and enforcement date is 14th November. Then what all are the recent amendments? So in 2019, we had the particular act, which is Pocso Act, was amended in 2019. Then the thing that we have to understand is the purpose of it. What is the purpose of this act? So if you understand about the purpose, so there are two purposes, basically. Two purposes are there. First purpose is for the protection. Since the act is also started from Pocso, is P stands for protection. The first is protection and second is establishment. First is protection and second is establishment. When we talk about protection, then we're talking about the protection of children, right? Protection of children. Then what are you protecting the children from? So protection of children from, number one is from sexual assault. From sexual assault. Okay, these are the certain crimes that the children are to be protected through this act. And then sexual harassment, and then pornography, because child pornography is very much prevalent in the society as a crime. And then establishment of the special courts is the another thing. Special courts are established. So this is the basic purpose of coming of this particular section. The purpose is to protect the children, that is the sexual assault, from sexual harassment and from pornography, and to establish special courts which actually deal with these kind of issues. Right? So this is one thing. And then we have to understand that what about its applicability? What about its applicability? When we talk about the applicability, we have three areas where this particular act applies to. When we talk about applicability, we also mean punishment, right? मतलब through this act कौन से लोगों को आप punish कर सकते हैं. So number one is the male, any male person can be, and also female, and the third one is other child. Any child who has been aggrieved by the act. What act? Sexual assault, sexual harassment, pornography, which is done by any male, which is done by any female, or any other child. So these all three people will be punished. Okay. Now the other thing that we have to understand with regard to Pocso is the drivers. Now what we mean by the drivers, which means how, through what it came, right? So सबसे पहले तो हमारा आर्टिकल 15 आता है, हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का आर्टिकल 15 आएगा, जो बेसिकली कहता है कि जो हमारा स्टेट और सेंट्रल है उसके पास ये राइट होगा that they have to make laws or legislations for the protection of women and children, right? For the protection of women and children. So for this purpose, under section 15, this particular act came into existence, right? So 13, and then the CRC is again a UN, it's a UN initiative through which they say that any party, any country who is a part of CRC, then that country through either bilateral treaty or unilateral treaty, either of them treaty, the child, they can actually protect children against the sexual offenses. Then they can actually protect the children from the sexual offenses. So these are the things, okay, under Article 15 and CRC of UN. So this is basically we have understood that what is POCSO, when did it come into existence, okay, what was the latest amendment, when was the latest amendment came, then the purpose, and also in 2019 only, 2019, which is 30th October 2019, it applies all over India. This is also one of the questions that can come, right? This is also one of the question. Then the purpose and the establishment, and the purpose was protection, for the protection, and for the establishment, and protection against any sexual offense, any harassment, sexual harassment, and pornography, and the establishment of sexual courts who will be taking care of through the trial. Okay, so this is one thing. Now, before we proceed with the chapterization, we have to understand how the chapters are bifurcated. ठीक है, so सबसे पहली बात तो हमारे इसमें 9 chapters हैं. There are 9 chapters, and those 9 chapters has around 46. It has 46 sections in it. Okay, so and these 9 chapters, just to make it more easy, let me just bifurcate these chapters into 2 parts. These chapters can be further bifurcated into substantive chapters and procedural chapters. Substantive and procedural chapters. It will be divided into 2 parts. So 9 chapters are divided into 2 parts, substantive and procedural. Substantive, which basically talks about what are the rights and liabilities of, and what exactly are the offenses, what are their punishments, and procedural aspect talks about how those offenses will be taken care of, how will the trial start, who will be presiding the officer of the court, who will be, and all these things are taken under the procedural aspect of the sections. So what all sections or chapters covered under substantive part of this chapter are? There are basically 4 parts that are covered. So first part is chapter number 1. Okay, then chapter number 2, chapter number 3, and chapter number 4. It's very easy. Let's understand it. See, chapter number 2 is only talking about the preliminary chapter, and the definition parts are included in that. I will explain you that what all definitions are important that you have to that have high chances to cover, since this is a crash course. So we're going to cover only a very important aspect of it. And then in chapter 2, we have the offenses mentioned in this area, chapter, offenses. So offenses are also mentioned under from section 3 to 12. And other than that, also major sections, major questions have the probability that they can come from this area. Okay, so first thing that you have to understand is section 5, section 3, 5, section 7, 9, and 11. These are the ones which are describing the offenses. Okay, and sections 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. These are the sections. These are the sections that are talking about the punishment. Okay, that you have to, that will make it easier for you to remember that 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11 sections. These are the sections. These are the sections. And 4, 6, 8, 10, and 11. 10 and 12 are the punishment section of the same, which means section 3 की जो punishment होगी आपका वो 4 में होगी, 5 की punishment 6 में होगी, 7 की punishment 8 में है, 9 की punishment 10 में है, 11 की punishment 12 में है. Chapter number 3 जो है वो talks, which is from section number 13 to 15. It simply talks about pornography. Okay, and chapter number 4 has two sections, 16 to 18. 3 sections are there in it, which talks about attempt, abetment in attempt, and attempt. Okay, so this is the substantive part. Today we will finish the substantive part of the sections, and tomorrow we will get done with the procedural aspect of it. So this is our target of today. And let me just give you a little picture of this also. Just a minute. This is chapter number 4. This is your 18 section. Okay. So now procedural aspect mein we have around 5 sections, 5 chapters actually. This is chapter number 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. When you talk about chapter number 5, it talks about the reporting. Matlab when any crime has been committed, then you have to report it, or investigation has to be started, right? So you have to report that particular offense, right? Then how to report that particular offense before whom you have to report that particular offense. Then the 6th chapter talks about 6th chapter is only about the investigation and recording of the offenses. Okay, investigation and record. Then 7th is talking about the special court in which the trial will be proceeded, right? And the 8th is the procedure of that special court. Procedure of the special court. And the last chapter, which is chapter 9, it's miscellaneous. Okay, so this is the procedural aspect of it, and today we're going to cover this area of our sections. Now substantive part, we have to right away go to the, yes, like I told you that this is the date of enforcement. Okay, and Act number 32 of 2012. This is another question. Okay, and then we have, it is the particular act, this came for the purpose of protection of children, right? From what? Sexual assault, sexual harassment, and pornography. And establishment hota hai and protection hota hai, ye iska purpose of this act hai. Okay, kahan se aaya hai section article 15 ka subclause 3? It has been it came from this particular section. And then we, like I told you, CRC, Convention on the Rights of the Child, ये यहाँ से आया है. Okay, so these are the things, and ये 63rd year of the Republic से आया हुआ है. So these are the probable questions that can come from here. Now the next is your definition part, is your section 2D is important, which talks about who is child. It is anybody who is below the age of 18 years is child. Then child pornography. Child pornography is the child means any visual depiction of any visual depiction of any sexually explicit conduct involving a child, which includes pornography, a photograph, video, digital, in form हो सकता है, computer generated image मतलब AI हो सकता है, right? Image created, adapted or modified but appear to be a depict of child, मतलब AI generated भी हो सकती है वो फोटो, वो भी आपका चाइल्ड फोटो या वीडियो, वो भी आपका एक चाइल्ड पोर्नोग्राफी में आएगा. सो देयर इज अ थिंग दैट जो आपके हगीज ऐड होते हैं या फिर आपके मैमी पोको पैंट्स, ये जो एड्स होते हैं उसमें इफ यू सी the butt cheeks of the child is shown in the ad, but not the genitals of the child is shown. So which means that if it will be shown the butt cheeks, will it be and will it be covered under child pornography? The answer is no, it won't be covered under child pornography. Reason being that it talks about the which showcasing of the genitals of the child, so it is. But in case it was shown, then would have been punishable. Okay. Then other question which can come is domestic relationship. Now from this domestic relationship, 2K and share household, you might get confused in these two. Domestic relationship talks about anything, when any person who comes to your house, for example, your relatives, your neighbors, your friends, they come and they go because they have certain relation with you, right? But they don't stay. So this is domestic relation. But share household means where you are living together under the same roof. Those people will be defined under the share household. And domestic relationship who do not share the same roof, but they come and go. That is domestic relationship. Okay, then another question that can come is religious institution. See, religious institution इसमें हम क्यों कर रहे हैं? Reason being that there are certain crimes which is against the children, in the religious institution also. For example, ashram. So if we have understood that there was a case in which Asaram Bapu was also held for certain kind of things, So what all will be the, so it is stating shall have the same meaning which is assigned to it in the Religious Institution Act also 1988. So whatever it is mentioned there, it will be covered here as well. So these are the important definitions that can come in your exam. Then we have another part here. So offenses. So I've already marked it for you. So when we talk about offenses, so there are few types of offenses here. See, first is penetrative sexual assault, then sexual assault, okay, and then again aggravated sexual assault. Again, this form of aggravated sexual assault. This is aggravated sexual assault, and then sexual assault. Okay, so the question that first of all, you have to understand the three aspects of it. Number one, that the definition is given in section 3 and punishment is mentioned under section 4 of penetrative sexual assault. Means there should be a touch, there should be a penetrative uh, penetration, okay, in the body of the in the body of the child. Now, what extent of the penetration, it is irrelevant here. Okay, that will still be mounted as well. It is a very recent judgment. Then any other object can also be there, or inserting of the penis in, or any other object as well in any other part of the body, right, of the child will conduct penetrative sexual assault. Aggravated form of penetrative sexual assault is defined under section 5 and the punishment of it is mentioned under section 6. Sexual assault is defined under section 7 and 8 talks about its punishment. Then when we talk about the sexual assault, the touch without penetration, there's a difference between penetrative sexual assault and sexual assault. There is no touch. Okay, but sorry, there is a touch. First of all, touch is there, like there's a touch in PSA, but in SA there's a touch, but there's no penetration. The touch could be in some other form. Okay, then there's an aggravated form of sexual SA also, which is given in section 9 and section 10 talks about the punishment of it. And then we come to sexual assault or harassment, which is defined as section 11 and punishable in under 12. The difference between these three is that in sexual harassment, there is no touch. Okay, but it includes that the certain kind of sexual offense which arises through words, conduct, or gesture of the accused person towards the child. Okay, so these are the two questions, that in which sections and which section is mentioned and punishable. Number two, that what is how different they are from each other, that I've explained to you. Okay, then another question is that we have the aggravated form of the offense of PSA and SA only, but not of the sexual harassment. So if the strict question can come about the aggravated PSA, then aggravated PSA is only for the PSA, aggravated form of the crime are only for the PSA, which is the penetrative sexual assault and your sexual assault, but not for the sexual harassment. This is one question that you have to understand. So now let's go to the section provision base, that how can we understand it. In this, it is saying that a person is said to commit penetrative sexual assault if, see, he penetrates his penis, okay, to any extent, means यहाँ पे कोई extent की बात नहीं हो रही है, clearly. Now, it could be into the vagina, it could be into the mouth, urethra, anus of a child, or makes the child, or you are, this is the important part, you're also making the child to do the same. Okay, now again, the point is with him or any other person also, or the person, the accused himself inserts to any extent, again, any object. Now, apart from that, any object also a part of his body. Again, not being the penis, into the vagina uterus of the child, or makes the child to do with him any other or other person. Same. Another is that he is manipulating any of the part of the body of the child so as to cause penetration into the vagina, urethra, making to the child also, then applies his mouth to the penis. So through mouth, oral also it is talking about. So these are the penetrative sexual assault. What are the punishment of it is? The punishment is 10 years, okay, and shall also be liable for fine. And the another part is that if the same offense which is mentioned in section 3, if you do the same offense to with a child who is below 16 years, then it extends to 20 years and even to life. Okay, so this is one this part 3 and 4. And then comes aggravated PSA. So aggravated PSA means we are talking about when the particular offense is done by a person who is himself was given the duty to take care of the child, right? Those kind of people who already not specifically child, but who already are entrusted with the duty to take care of the people around, right? Like armed forces, public servant, police officer, if they only themselves are involved, or any jail person who's living, who is in charge of the jailer or remand home or protection home, if they are only doing such kind of act, then the punishment level is a little serious here. Let's understand, whoever being a police officer commits penetrative sexual offense on a child within the limits of the police station. So whatever you have to understand is the police officer, then the second is armed forces, then you have the public servant commits penetrative sexual assault, then whoever being on the management or on the staff of a jail. So this is talking about the management or on the staff of the jail. See, staff of the jail or remand home or protection home, observation home, or other place of custody or care and protection. Okay, commits, then they commit PSA if, okay, being on a child, and that particular child must be some inmate of such jail or remand or protection home, observation home, or whatever we say, right? Then the next part is हॉस्पिटल का जो स्टाफ होता है, मैनेजमेंट का स्टाफ होता है, नाउ इरेलीवेंट है वेदर वो गवर्नमेंट है या प्राइवेट है, राइट? या एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन का मैनेजमेंट स्टाफ हो गया, ठीक है, या एंड देन अनदर इज गैंग पेनिट्रेटिव सेक्सुअल assault on a child, that will also cover under PSA, aggravated PSA. Okay, now the another thing is that whoever commits the such PSA using deadly weapon, fire, heated substance, corrosive substance, then another is causing grievous hurt, PSA duration of when committing a PSA, then you also cause grievous hurt or other bodily injury or harm to the sexual organs of the child. Okay, and then whoever commits PSA, which physically incapacitates the child physically, okay, or causes the child to become mentally ill, right? So these kind of things, or causes the child any impairment, so that he cannot do his regular tasks, either temporary or permanently again. Another risk in case of female child makes the child pregnant, then also it can be a PSA, aggravated PSA, inflicts a child with the HIV disease or any life-threatening disease could be. Again, it could be the temporary or permanent. You are impairing with the incapacity of physically incapacitate him or mentally, ill to perform the regular tasks or cause the finally the death of the child also. See, this was added later stage, right? It was only amended in 2019, these amendments. So this, in fact, the HIV and other life-threatening disease were also added in 19. Then there is whoever take advantage of a child's mental or physical disability. If any child is already insane, mentally unsound mind, then you're taking the advantage of that and then commit PSA. Then a child who on the child more than once or repeatedly. If you're doing that particular PSA not only once for like but more than once and repeatedly you're doing that, then it is aggravated form of PSA. Then doing it below the to a child below 12 years, then it's aggravated PSA. Then with being relative of the child, then it is also talking about the relative of the child through blood or adoption of marriage or guardianship or in foster care or having domestic relationship. See, यहाँ पे आपका every aspect of the relation through the child to the child आपका cover कर रहे हैं with a parent of the child who is living in the same shared household. Domestic and shared household दोनों आ रहे हैं. Come is penetrative. Then whoever being in the ownership, management, or staff of any institution providing service to the child commits PSA. Okay. Then another is who is being the position of trust or authority of the child. You have that particular position. Okay, then that person only commits it on the child in an institution or home of the child or anywhere else. Okay, whoever commits penetrative assault on a child, knowing the child is pregnant, then also, and whoever commits penetrative sexual assault on a child and attempt to murder the child also. This is also aggravated. It's very brief, right? Whoever commits PSA on a child in the course of communal or sectarian violence or during the natural calamity in a similar situation. So this is also added. Okay, communal and sectarian violence की duration में भी अगर ये चीजें हो जाती हैं. So natural calamity communal ये 2019 में add हुआ है आपका. And just before your COVID came into existence, where these kind of offenses were rising a lot. So these things are also very important for you, like this particular section specifically. So natural calamity was your COVID, right? And it is already covered. Then that particular thing will be a PSA, aggravated form of PSA. Whoever commits penetrative PSA on a child and who has been previously convicted of having this committed any offense under this act, जो भी offenses पढ़ेंगे, or any sexual offenses punishable under law, मतलब IPC में या फिर किसी और law में जहाँ भी mentioned है. Whoever commits PSA on a child makes a child to strip or parade naked in public, then also it is covered. And these all will be called as aggravated PSA. Okay. So this is one thing. So the punishment for this is the maximum punishment if, which is given under Pocso Act is Section 6, which is death. Death. See, it shall be otherwise than 20 years, but it can be extended to death also. And this also has been added under your 2019 amendment. Okay. So now the next is next offense is sexual assault and the punishment thereon. I've told you that this sexual assault is little. It is like PSA is the highest, then sexual assault उससे भी थोड़ा सा कम हो जाता है, और sexual harassment HS उससे भी कम हो जाता है, तो डाउन की टुवर्ड्स जाते हैं, ये सबसे मैक्सिमम होता है। और सेक्शन 6 इसका जो 5 डिफाइन करता है, सेक्शन 5 का जो पनिशमेंट है सेक्शन 6 में, जिसका मैक्सिमम ऑफेंस पनिशमेंट आपकी डेथ हो जाती है। Then it is your sexual assault, which is talking about intent to touch. Okay, it is talking about the intent to touch. Should know that how different sexual assault, sexual harassment, and PSA are. Okay, because that's how also the question can come. Vagina, penis, anus, breast, and makes a child touch any of these things, then that will be sexual assault. Okay, or does any other act with sexual intent which involves physical contact. It's यहाँ पे talking, it's about without. This is an important word. Without penetration. Okay, so the punishment here will be 3 years and extend to 5 years and fine also. It is talking about and not or. That also you have to remember. Okay. Then you have is aggravated sexual assault, which is ASA, and punishment here is again, whoever being again police officers commits the offense, then whoever being the member of armed forces commit the offense, public servant committing the offense, then management or staff of home, remand home, protection of home or observation home, any other place having the custody and protection of the child, वहाँ का management staff करता है commit ये crime sexual assault का, और हॉस्पिटल का either गवर्नमेंट और प्राइवेट उनका मैनेजमेंट या स्टाफ, और एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन का मैनेजमेंट स्टाफ। ओके, द सेम इट इज जो अभी हमने कवर कराए वो सारे ही एग्रीवेटेड फॉर्म में आते हैं, जो विच आर कवर्ड अंडर सेक्शन 5, इट्स द सेम। Okay, and then it is talking about the using of deadly weapon, causing bodily harm and injury. Okay, the mentally ill person या पे inflicting the HIV or other life-threatening disease, taking the advantage of child mental and physical disability, doing the same offense more than once, 12 years के बिलो से कर रहे हैं, या अडॉप्शन नियर एंड रिलेशन वाले लोग कर रहे हैं, ओनरशिप स्टाफ ऑफ एनी इंस्टीट्यूशन, ट्रस्ट अथॉरिटी है बच्चे पे, चाइल्ड प्रेग्नेंट है या फिर मर्डर कर दिया क्राइम करने के बाद, ये सारे हमने कवर करे हुए हैं। यहाँ पे जो 4th 5th पॉइंट है सब हम कवर कर चुके हैं, दिस नो पॉइंट टू कवर अगेन। 5th पॉइंट से यहाँ पे वी पॉइंट से क्वेश्चन आ सकता है यहाँ पे कि आप जैसा कोई ड्रग इन्फ्यूज कर रहे हो बच्चे में, ड्रग या हार्मोन जिसकी वजह से उसको बच्चे को अर्ली सेक्सुअल मेच्योरिटी आ रही है, उसके अटेन द सेक्सुअल मेच्योरिटी एंड देन यू कमिट, आप परसुएट कर रहे हो सो दैट उसके साथ ही सेक्सुअल पर्टिकुलर ऑफेंस कर सकें, ये सारा आपका एग्रीवेटेड सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट में आएगा। Okay, this was again added in 2019 only. So this could be one question, please. Okay. So amendment wale portions I always prefer कि you should never skip all the parts, which are actually the amendment ones. Then your is sexual harassment, which is talking about the person is said to commit sexual harassment upon a child when such person with sexual intent. What does it do? यहाँ पे there is no sexual touch, okay, first of all, but यहाँ पे words या sounds या कोई gesture के through आप ऐसा या exhibit करते हैं कोई object or part of the body, intention क्या होता है that it should be heard, it should be seen, it should be understood, right? And it shall be seen by the child. That is sexual harassment. And make a child exhibit, or if you're doing it, the accused is doing it, or the victim, the child, because in this case, you're making the child only to exhibit his part, okay, or shows any object to a child in a form of media or for pornographic purposes, you're doing that. Repeatedly or constantly follows or watches or contacts child either directly or through electronic, digital, or by any other means. Then threatens यहाँ पे in a real or fabricated depiction through electronic, film or digital or mode, of any part of body of child or involvement of the child in the sexual act or entices the child, enticement की बात हो रही है for pornographic purposes के लिए. So these all will be your sexual harassment, and the punishment here is 3 years and fine. Okay. So this is your till 12 we have covered, which I have mentioned here. These are covered offenses. PSA is covered, right? Your aggravated form of PSA is covered under section 5(6). Then your sexual assault is covered under section 7 and 8, touch without penetration, and aggravated sexual offense 9 and 10, and sexual offense there is no touch, word, conduct, gesture is there, threaten is there, all that is covered here. Okay. Then we have the next one is sexual harassment and punishment. Then we have to jump to the pornographic purposes. Okay, the third offense which is done. Third offenses of sexual offense, and then other is your child pornography. So this is another chapter 3. See, it is talking about, first of all, you have to also remember that in which section it is mentioned. The use of child for pornographic purposes is mentioned under section 13. Okay. So whoever uses a child in any form, using a child, it's talking about using a child for the purpose of, child pornography, including program और advertisement telecast कर रहे हैं. So ads भी बहुत ही सोच के बनाए जाते हैं ऐसे cases में, और internet or any other electronic form, okay, or any other electronic form, whether or not such program or advertisement is intended for personal use. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that whether it is used for intended personal use or not. Then what are you doing? Including the representation of sexual organs, usage of child engagement in real or simulated sexual act, or the indecent or obscene representation. So these things, right? So it will be covered under, if that's the reason. Otherwise ये representation A और C में cover हो सकता था अगर कोई ads इस तरीके के से जो आपके मैमी पोको पैंट्स के होते हैं, डाइपर्स एड्स होते हैं. So this is only butt cheeks are revealed of the child, right? So the punishment, because इसका क्या हो जाता है, see the punishment here is maximum punishment 7 years and liable for fine also. और अगर मतलब अगर कोई जो एक्ट चाइल्ड पोर्नोग्राफी के साथ साथ जो भी सेक्शन हमने 3, 5 और 7, 9 में पढ़े हैं वो भी इंक्लूडेड है, तो उनके साथ साथ ये वाली पनिशमेंट भी फिर मैच साथ में दी जाएगी. ठीक है. पनिशमेंट 15 टॉक्स अबाउट, ये हमारा 2019 के अमेंडमेंट में डाला गया है. 2019 का जो अमेंडमेंट है, इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट 2019 amendment is talking about any person who stores and possesses, again important word, pornographic material का store करना या possess करना, और store possess करने के बाद you are failing to delete or destroy that particular thing, right? Why you're not fail? Why did you fail to delete or destroy? Because you have an intention to share or transmit that child pornography. Then that person will be liable for fine not less than 5,000 to 10,000 rupees. Extend हो जाएगा 10,000 rupees से, if second offense, subsequent offense. Then transmitting and propagating or displaying or distributing in any manner, then 3 years में हो जाएगा अगर आप उस चीज़ को ही ट्रांसमिट और प्रोपेगेटिंग कर रहे हैं, या फिर तो तीसरा क्या है कि कमर्शियल पर्पस के लिए ही यूज़ कर रहे हैं उसको, देन 3 years का फाइन होगा और एक्सटेंड करा जाएगा 7 years तक. सो यहाँ पे अगेन ये सारे सेक्शंस आप देखो कि सब में एंड है, बट ये आपको रिमेम्बर करना है. कुछ कुछ जगह पे आपको और भी बताया, जैसे हियर इन दिस केस और है ये, राइट. So next is your abatement and attempt of commit an offense. Here abatement of an offense is exactly same as your IPC. जैसा आपका IPC में mentioned है, exact वही है. There's nothing that we need to talk about. यहाँ पे 16 talks about your abatement, 17 talks about the punishment, and 18 talks about your attempt. So ये आपको याद रखना पड़ेगा. Abatement की punishment यहाँ पे 17 में दी है, और attempt की जो punishment होगी same crime की आपका यहाँ दिया गया है. सो इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द अबेटमेंट. फर्स्ट क्या है, इंस्टिगेट कर रहे हैं आप, इंगेज कर रहे हैं, इंटेंशनली एड कर रहे हो, ये तीनों चीज़ अगर कर रहे हो जिससे ये पर्टिकुलर ऑफेंस होंगे जो हमने अभी पहले पढ़े हैं, तो पनिशमेंट होगी। और पनिशमेंट क्या होगी एग्जैक्टली जो आपके आईपीसी में मेंशन होगी सेम है। बट जो क्वेश्चन आपको समझने वाला है वो ये है कि पनिशमेंट फॉर अटेम्प्ट की क्या पनिशमेंट है। तो पनिशमेंट अटेम्प्ट में दो चीज़ें, अगर वो लाइफ इम्प्रिजनमेंट मिली है, अगर इफ इट इज़ अ लाइफ इम्प्रिजनमेंट, इफ इट इज़ अ लाइफ इम्प्रिजनमेंट, तो मतलब उसका हाफ, जितनी भी रिमाइंडर ऑफ लाइफ का हाफ। और इफ इट इज मैक्सिमम, लेट्स से कि मैक्सिमम काफी की वजह हमने पढ़ा था कि 7 years है, तो 7 years का आप हाफ करेंगे, 7 years का हाफ। तो जितना भी है उसका वो मिलेगा अटेम्प्ट में। सिंपल सी है, ये आपको याद रखने वाली चीज है बस, क्योंकि यहाँ से क्वेश्चन आ सकता है। Whoever attempts to commit any offense punishable under this act to cause such an offense to be committed and in such attempt does any act towards the commission of the offense, ये सब छोड़ो, समझने वाली बात यहाँ से है। Shall be punishable with imprisonment for any description provided for the offense, जितनी भी उस पर्टिकुलर ऑफेंस की उसको पनिशमेंट दी गई है, then for a term which may extend one half of the imprisonment for life, ये नंबर 1 हो गया। और अगर ऐसे किसी में भी कॉमा 1/2 ऑफ द लॉन्गेस्ट टर्म जो भी उसकी पनिशमेंट दी गई है उसकी लॉन्गेस्ट टर्म उसको दी जाएगी। अगेन यहाँ पे बात है और फाइन और विद बोथ एनी। So we have covered till your section 18. The chapter number 5 is again, like I told you, is talking about the procedure for the reporting of the cases. So now from chapter 5 to 9, the remaining 5 chapters are mostly towards the procedural aspect of it. If we see, let's just look at the let's just look at the index. It is the definition section हमने कर लिया है, short title and extent and commencement हमने कर लिया है, penetrative PSA and punishment करी है, aggravated PSA and punishment, 6 being the highest punishment section under Pocso, हमने ये भी करा है। Then we have ASA and punishment for aggravated sexual assault. Then we have again these two sections, all the substantial form of these sections. Then we have child for pornography purpose. This is pornography crime. Then where you're using the child for this purpose, and then punishment for the using the child for pornographic purposes, and then punishment for storage of pornographic material involving child. These things, and the attempt, these two parts, again chapter number 4. It is talking about the abatement of an offense and punishment of abatement. The question which has the highest probability of coming is 18. Talks about the punishment for abatement, which is 1/2 of the your life imprisonment or your maximum punishment which is given in that particular offense. So these are the basic substantial portion of Pocso. And the next portion is chapter number from 5. 5 talks about procedure, reporting. 6 talks about recording of the statement of the child. See, if you see the reporting of offenses, obligation क्या होगी मीडिया की कि आप किन किन तरीके से इनको दिखा सकते हैं, नहीं दिखा सकते। Then punishment क्या होगी if you fail to report or record a case. Then punishment for the false complaint is talking about. Then procedure for media, it is also giving that. Procedure for recording statement of child is talking about the recording of statement of child. Recording of statement of child by magistrate. Then additional procedure क्या होंगे अगर a medical examination of child is 27. Then 27 is also very important, very very important. Special courts, again it is very important because special courts are made for the purpose. No, what is the purpose of special court? What is the purpose of bringing the Pocso in existence? To obviously eradicate the crimes, sexual crimes against the child, and the second purpose is your special courts. तो स्पेशल कोर्ट्स की डेजिग्नेशन क्या है, प्रिजम्पशन क्या होगी सर्टेन ऑफेंस की, जब हम देंगे ये पर्टिकुलर ऑफेंस हुआ है, लेट्स से सेक्सुअल ऑफेंस हुआ है, सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट हुआ है, सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट हुआ है, या पेनिट्रेटिव सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट हुआ है, तो उसका प्रिजम्पशन क्या मान जाएगा कि क्या एक्ट हुआ है। प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ कल्पेबल मेंटल स्टेट का भी एप्लीकेशन क्या है यहाँ पे देखो सीआरपीसी की मेंशन करी गई है कि उसका कितना एप्लीकेबल होगा सीआरपीसी स्पेशल कोर्ट पे। देन स्पेशल पब्लिक प्रोसिक्यूटर भी है यहाँ पे, ठीक है। हेलो आमिर, I just since you just joined, let me just quickly explain you कि अभी तक हमने प्रॉपर अपना जो करा है कवर, इट इज आवर सब्सटैंटिव पोर्शन करा है, जिसमें हमने चैप्टर नंबर 2 कवर कर लिया है, चैप्टर नंबर 3 कवर कर लिया है, चैप्टर नंबर 4 तक कवर कर लिया है। चैप्टर नंबर 4 तक हमारा सब्सटैंशियल पोर्शन आता है पॉक्सो का, और चैप्टर नंबर 5 से लेकर 9 तक हमारे पास प्रोसीजरल एस्पेक्ट ऑफ द पर्टिकुलर पॉक्सो एक्ट का आता है, जो हम कल की क्लास में करनी है हमें। आज की क्लास में हमने सब्सटैंटिव पोर्शन खत्म कर दिया है। इस पूरे पॉक्सो से 3 मार्क्स के क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, 3 to 4 मैक्सिमम 3 क्वेश्चन ही आते हैं। और मैंने यहाँ पे आपको बताया भी हुआ है कि पॉक्सो है, क्या क्या क्वेश्चंस आते हैं। इसका इनैक्टमेंट एरिया, इनैक्टमेंट पे क्वेश्चन आ सकता है आपका कि कब इनैक्ट हुआ था। इन्फोर्समेंट पे क्वेश्चन आ सकता है कि 14 नवंबर को इन्फोर्स हुआ था। इसकी जो लास्ट अमेंडमेंट थी वो थी 2019 को। बहुत सारी अमेंडमेंट्स 2019 में आई हुई हैं, और जितनी भी अमेंडमेंट्स आई हैं 2019 में, जो मैंने भी सब्सटैंशियल पोर्शन में कराया, आप उसको जरूर करके जाइए, क्योंकि बहुत हाई चांसेस है कि अमेंडमेंट पे क्वेश्चंस आएंगे, वही सेक्शंस पूछे जाएंगे। 2019 में आपको याद रखना पड़ेगा कि 2019 में हमारा इट अप्लाइज ऑल ओवर इंडिया, ये भी आया है 30 अक्टूबर। पर्पस क्या है? प्रोटेक्शन देना किसको? चिल्ड्रन को, और स्टैब्लिशमेंट करना किसका? स्पेशल कोर्ट या ट्रायल, जो हम जिनमें ट्रायल होता है। प्रोटेक्शन अगेंस्ट सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट, सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट एंड पोर्नोग्राफिक, चाइल्ड पोर्नोग्राफी से। एप्लीकेबिलिटी मतलब पनिशमेंट किसको कर सकते हैं? पनिशमेंट पनिश मेल को कर सकते हैं, फीमेल को कर सकते हैं, अदर चाइल्ड को भी कर सकते हैं। चाइल्ड पे ही जो क्राइम होता है, और जो भी कौन कर सकता है, एक मेल कर सकता है, फीमेल कर सकता है, फिर दूसरा चाइल्ड भी कर सकता है, तो इन तीनों को पनिशमेंट मिल सकती है। और ये पॉक्सो आया कहाँ से है? ये सेक्शन आर्टिकल 15 हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से आया है, क्योंकि आर्टिकल 15 का क्लॉज 3 कहता है कि मेक लॉज, स्टेट और सेंट्रल दे कैन मेक लॉज एंड लेजिस्लेशन फॉर द प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ women एंड चिल्ड्रन, राइट? सो अंडर दैट ओनली। और फिर हमारा यूएन का एक चाइल्ड राइट ऑफ सीआरसी है, तो वहां पे बोलता है, यूएन कहता है कि जो जो कंट्री सीआरसी अडॉप्ट करती हैं, वो अपनी कंट्री में इस तरह के लॉज बनाए जिससे चिल्ड्रन कैन बी प्रोटेक्टेड अगेंस्ट द क्राइम्स। यहाँ पे मैंने बाइफर्केशन ऑफ द चैप्टराइजेशन दिया है, यू कैन सी हियर। देयर आर 9 चैप्टर्स इन टोटल, जिसमें 46 सेक्शंस हैं। Chapter number 1 to 4. Chapter number 1 to 4 are substantive part, and chapter number 5 to 9 are procedural part. Right? Today we have covered our substantial part. हमने 18 तक कर लिया है, 1 से 18 तक हमने cover कर लिया है आज। Next class में हमने rest करना है, which is tomorrow at the same time, 4 to 5. Chapter 1 is preliminary and all these short title and definition part है। Definition में मैंने आपको बता दिया कौन कौन सी important definitions हैं। Let me again go back. Definition में chapter section 2D important है, child की definition. DA important है, child pornography. 2E important है, domestic relation, and shared household 2K में भी mentioned है, and religious institution 2H. These are the important ones. ये आप करके चली जाएं बस। Okay, and then we have covered section 2, specifically offenses की बात कर रहा है, जिसमें 3 से लेकर 12 तक है। इसमें 3, 5, 7, 9 और 11 offenses को डिफाइन कर रहा है। 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 punishment डिफाइन कर रहा है। ठीक है, सो दीज आर द थिंग्स। एंड चैप्टर 3 पोर्नोग्राफी वाले ऑफेंसेस के बारे में बात कर रहा है, जो 13 से 15 तक है। और जो कह रहा है कि आप रिस्टोर नहीं, आप डिलीट नहीं करा, आपने कोई ऐसा कंटेंट है जो पोर्नोग्राफी टाइप का है, या उसका कमर्शियल पर्पस पे रख रहे हैं, उसको बेच रहे हैं, डेसिमेट करें, ट्रांसमिट करें, तो पोर्नोग्राफी में आएगा चाइल्ड, और पनिशमेंट भी मिलेगी उसकी। चैप्टर 4 अबेटमेंट एंड अटेम्प्ट की बात करता है, जो 16 से लेकर 18 तक है। 16 अबेटमेंट की बात करता है, 17 अबेटमेंट की पनिशमेंट की बात करता है, और 18 अटेम्प्ट की बात करता है। So this is what we have covered in today's class. Hello, Amir. And then this is the procedural part, जो हम कल chapter number 5 से start करने वाले हैं. I hope this is clear. So with this, I am ending today's session. And we will begin with section 19, this procedural for reporting a case. We will be starting with the report tomorrow. Thank you so much then.